So you had mentioned alienation
Yes.
also in the question. That's very important because alienated people are sad, lonely, unhappy, angry also because of their situation. So such people in such a society, we have to have a lot of, what shall I say, loving kindness for people and compassion, you know. So then we can make people feel okay, more at ease. Then there's more possibility of deeper listening, deeper dialogue. Otherwise, why should an angry, unhappy person talk to you properly? They will not talk properly. They don't want to hear what you're saying. They are angry because of their life situation, because of whatever, so many causes in this world. Lack of proper education, dehumanization through industrialization, atomization of the family, urbanization, all these things are creating chaos, climate chaos, environmental chaos. So this is all creating a very unstable situation. So many people are unhappy, as we see, and not just unhappy, but having an awful life. So interfaith dialogue, how can we help? We have to show good example. The people who are supposed to be religious, we have to show a good example and talk to each other properly and put forward some kind of, I think, program that can help people and show that science and religion don't have to be opposite. But I think that is coming also later in your questions. So yeah, this is a very important question, and I think it has to be dealt with very seriously because also Catholic Church is interested in interfaith dialogue. But again, deeper. It must be deeper level, not just talking, not just taking photographs.
So I believe that when you say this deeper, most of the time, so people think that this dialogue process is a very short-term one, as you rightly said. It is for 2 hours, and finally it gets over. We shake hands, we take photographs, and it's for a publicity. But as you rightly said, deeper, that means it is a process. That it purifies one in the holistic sense. So can you just explain what this deeper, this word can
Well,
mean?
that's a good question. Deeper for me means, okay, let's look at it from the traditional angle that Buddhism speaks of, which I think is very useful. They say there are 3 levels of knowledge or wisdom. I mean, wisdom can be classified in many ways, but this is one way. They say you can get some wisdom through listening, reading, studying, talking. Okay, we call this in general wisdom gained through listening. Then there's wisdom gained through reflecting. Matlab, what you have listened to, what you have heard, what you have discussed, you then reflect. Or you can also discuss it with your spiritual friends so that it becomes clearer and you can go a bit deeper through the reflection. Third stage for us is the wisdom you get through meditation. So maybe that is called contemplation in your tradition, I'm not sure. But we say meditation is familiarizing the mind with what you have begun to understand during the process of reflection. So you reflect, some ideas come, some insights come, but then you have to go deeper through meditating. So meditating is where we put the mind on that. We keep the mind undistractedly as much as possible on what we have discovered through the reflection, which was in itself based on listening properly, studying properly. Because if we don't study, then we really don't know what we're talking about very often. So I think that's what also Father Gregorios taught us. Proper study. You have to be a little bit of a scholar. We need to know something. We can't start with a completely blank mind. That would be something else. So listening, reflecting, meditating. If we do all 3, then I think we can go deeper to also, they say, a state beyond language, beyond words. Because as we know, the great mystics of all the traditions, I don't think any of them said that you can get to the final truth just through words, through language. You have to go beyond that. Like with many things in life, It's like I like to give a very mundane example. How can you explain to someone in words what a good South Indian banana tastes like, you know. I have a Jesuit friend in Bodh Gaya. He loves different varieties of banana. He brings from Kerala, I think, from southern Kerala. Anyway, how can you explain in words the taste? You can give an idea, but the person has to taste the banana. Then they know what is banana, that particular one. So similarly, how can we understand what you mean by God, what I mean by Buddha, or what we mean by compassion if we are just talking? We have to go deeper beyond words, where it becomes something we really feel in the heart. So that's what I mean by deeper.
Okay.
Otherwise, as you say, it's a photo opportunity. And then you have it in your album, you show people, but what you actually discussed or any deeper meaning is not there. So there's nothing much to say to anyone. You just show the photos, कि हम लोग थे, ये लोग थे, सब लोग थे, and that's it. So that is very superficial. That cannot help the world in this time of crisis.
So I believe that, as you rightly said, the interaction between Bishop Dr. Paulos Mar Gregorios and his relations with his Buddhist leaders and friends that he had, especially his relation with His Holiness the Dalai Lama. I mean, this right word you used, deeper interactions, that might be the factor that led to their very intimate relations in having good dialogue with each other, appreciating the goodness in each of them. So how can you help us understand?
Yeah, it's like kindred souls, we say, kindred people. They recognized each other's depth, each other's kindness, I think, each other's seriousness.
Yes.
Both, I think, were acutely aware of the problems of this world, the problems of individuals in a society which has been disrupted by, at least in India's case, by industrialization, by colonialism, by many things, caste, this, that, and the other, partition. So we're living in a country which has many, you could say, fault lines, you know, which are easily exploited by politicians and people who don't have a good motivation. So His Holiness and His Grace, they realized this. They are coming from that mutual understanding that we are living in a time where people need help. And you can only help people if you are sincere and serious. Not serious to the point of crying, but I mean, you know, both I'm sure had a sense of humor. Dalai Lama ji has a very good sense of humor. I don't think I remember Father Gregorios' sense of humor, but I'm sure he had it.
Yeah, sure.
Because those kind of people, they have it.
There is a picture, sir, that portrays Mar Gregorios is embracing and joyfully they are with Dalai Lama. They are having a very humorous time with each other. And,
yes. Like His Holiness used to have with Desmond Tutu.
Yes, exactly.
They loved each other's company,
exactly, yes.
And they're always making fun of each other in a very nice way. So yeah, I think these two people, these two great beings, they recognized something very basic they shared, which is also the human dignity, human spirit, what we call Buddha nature, what you might call something else, Christ nature or whatever, God nature. We all have it deep down. Very few of us, I think, actualize it. But these two beings, they had, really actualized that.
So Mar Gregorios, he was very interested to study and know about Buddhism and its practices. He says, in true Buddhist enlightenment, the individual becomes totally integrated with the whole, and the unity of the whole becomes primary. So kindly explain this statement to us.
This I can't explain in words. Just like I cannot tell you if you don't know banana, I cannot give you the taste of the banana.
Yes.
But all I can say is that this is the kind of thing why we need deeper interfaith dialogue. Because it's only by practicing together we can understand what he meant. Because how can I distill what the Father was saying in a few words? Because it's based on his experience. It's based on his knowledge, his effort, his scholarship, and I'm sure his contemplation. through all those things he came to this understanding. You know, so if we don't do the same, we will not get that level of understanding, I think. So all I can say is that in general, which I'm sure you might also agree with, the mystics and the people who go deeper in any religion, they realize that one of the main problems is I, the ego, the selfish, arrogant I, me, mine, that attitude. Ahankar, that we say in the Hindu tradition. And we can use the word ego, although we have to be careful with that word because it can also have a neutral meaning, but here I'm meaning in the negative sense. You know, caring only for oneself, holding on very deeply to some sense of solid I, me, mine, who is the most important in the universe. So I don't care about you, that kind of attitude. When that is out of the way, and that happens through study, reflection, meditating, when we can get that ego out of the way, then we realize that we are not separate from others or from the universe. Right now, I feel I'm separate. Me, you, I'm important, I have to protect myself, I should get what I want to be happy, I should push away what makes me unhappy, you know, I should get rid of the enemy or what I don't like. It's all coming back to me and my problem. So then I forget your problem and the world's problems, just caught up in my own problem. So that consciousness, that very limited consciousness of I, me, mine, when that is out of the way, and all the religions have methods for getting that out of the way. It's just, you know, meditation, mantra, reflection, dedication, you know, bhakti yoga, so many kinds of practices to short circuit this, which for Buddhists is the devil, this I, me, mine. That is the devil for us, the shaitan, you know. That gets in the way of our happiness and prevents us helping others, serving others, you know. So I think we feel that unity when this factor is out of the way, because this factor is creating all the mischief.
So what is the relevance of centers like Tushita Meditation Center? Deal with this.
Our teacher would say that this center is to help people understand their deepest nature, which is that we are all having the Buddha nature, meaning we all have the seed of Buddha in us. We can all become just like Shakyamuni Buddha. He was not just an isolated phenomena, but all of us have the seed of great wisdom, compassion, love, and so forth. And universal love, not just partial. So we all have that. So centers like this can help people begin to study, reflect, and meditate on that, and on love, compassion, wisdom, because wisdom is very important. Wisdom is what we use in Buddhism to actually undermine this selfishness, this ego, this ignorance, agyanta. Most of the Eastern religions have agyanta or avidya as the source of suffering. That's a kind of lack of knowledge or a misknowledge, misunderstanding. So this is what we need, and places like this give people a chance for that. And temporarily, this kind of center helps people to have a kind of a refuge away from the very busy, tense, restless lives that many people have. So often people come and say as soon as they come here, they feel some calm, some peace. So that's very good. That's why we're here. We are underground. We are below the ground level. So we're kind of, you know, hidden. And it's very cool in summer, and that's useful for people to come in the summer like that. So we provide a place to be still and to be, pay attention, to begin to make friends with ourselves. And so if we make friends with ourselves, understand ourselves, we can be genuine friends with other people, you know, because many people don't understand themselves, most people, right? And they don't feel very happy about themselves. As you said, we feel alienated, we feel all these things. So this center helps us to, in a nutshell, this center could help people actualize their deepest potential as human beings, which for us is to also become fully awakened person, fully enlightened person.
It promotes the Mahayana tradition?
Yes,
okay.
yes, which is very, I'm glad you mentioned that. which is based a lot on this sense of compassion. Bodhicitta, we say, bodhicitta, awakening thought, enlightenment thought. Okay? My life is only meaningful if I aspire to become also fully awakened in order to benefit others, in order to benefit suffering beings, because everyone is suffering. Even my enemy is suffering, maybe suffering much more than me. And if I understand that, then maybe I don't need to see that person as my enemy. I can see them as a sick person, suffering person, and then my attitude can change. They may still hate me, but I will not hate them. And that's important. I think all the great religions speak about that. So yeah, hopefully Tushita can help in this way.
So Mar Gregorios states that the human race must be first rescued from the adolescent hubris of an unreflected secularism and scientism on the one hand, and from the meaning distorting and soul destroying urban technological civilization developed by the White West and their allies on the other hand.
Yes.
So, how can humanity go beyond these hurdles?
He was definitely a revolutionary.
Yeah.
Nowadays, if he was alive, he would be, he would be in danger. He would be labeled, urban Naxalite or something. Anyway, whatever. He was somebody who cared for the underdog. He's someone who had studied, as we know, widely. He would have studied history as well as theology and all these things. He knew intimately the impact of the Industrial Revolution on the world, starting in the late 18th century in England, and spread. That had devastating consequences for how people worked, how people were regarded. Then people began to be regarded as just cogs in a machine, workers. And you give them the minimum housing and they're just supposed to come to a factory and work, some mechanistic work, and then they go home exhausted. Later you can give them entertainments like television, so they can, and drink, so they can temporarily forget their pitiful lives, many of them. And so you have a kind of that exploitation on the one hand, entertainment on the other hand, to help people forget that actually they are in a dismal state. Reminds one of Charles Dickens maybe, and his novels, Hard Times and other novels where the workers are suffering so much. So in that situation, we have to develop the best of science and the best of religion. So how to do that? That requires dialogue. That requires understanding the true scientific method, which should be open-minded. And according to many Buddhists, science has not been open-minded enough in its dialogue with religion or Buddhism. They have, from the outset, felt that they are superior, that there is only a materialistic explanation of the universe, that anything that cannot be detected by a scientific instrument must be invalid or not exist. So then they are completely poo-pooing, they are completely putting down the contemplative experience of mystics and meditators from all of the great religious traditions. How can they say our experience is invalid when they have not tried? How can a scientific instrument measure love or compassion adequately? It can't. How can it measure what a mystic is experiencing in their meditation? How can it? You can, of course, you can get some brain waves and impulse. I'm not saying that is irrelevant. A lot of that research is being done. And in fact, they say that a lot of meditation affects the brain, not the other way around. Meditation, kind thoughts, meditation on compassion affects different part of the brain, meaning actually physically affects part of the brain. So they speak of the brain plasticity, that the brain can change based on what we are thinking, what we are meditating on, how we are living. So this has to be understood. So scientists have to be open-minded, but also religious people have to be open-minded. And we cannot say, oh, we are religious, I'm not going to try and understand the economy or society or politics. We have to be aware, like the father was aware, of how devastating was this age of the machine that came. And of course, we all use cars, we all use aeroplanes, they're amazing, But together, what came with that was something very, I think, disastrous for the human spirit. And now with technology and with COVID, people, especially young people, have become much more enclosed in their little virtual worlds with their computers and their smartphones, so that we have stopped interacting with other people sufficiently. We don't know, young people I'm sure, and many older people don't know how to talk, how to interact with others. All we know is messaging, and that also in a very superficial way and hurried way. We don't have the patience to write a word properly. It has to be all shorthand. I mean, what is this? This is a travesty, I feel, but I'm old-fashioned, yeah. I'm born in the mid-20th century, so I'm like a dinosaur, The new generation will regard people like us as dinosaurs. We deserve to be in museums. But I think this is a very big danger, the misuse of technology. In itself, technology is not bad, but we are misusing it, and we fail to see where to stop. I think humans don't know where to stop. Sometimes we have to say enough is enough, either with money or with anything, possessions, or with technological advancement. We can see often how it's not going to be always good. It's going to be dangerous, like artificial intelligence. Thousands and thousands of very intelligent, very clever people are working on this. But what are the results going to be? Very mixed. It's a terrible power in our hands. And if it's misused, then, like the atom bomb and nuclear energy, can destroy us. So there has to be more moderation, more middle way, and more dialogue between, I think, intelligent, wise scientists and open-minded religious people and politicians and technocrats, because, we think technology is the answer. And also commerce, by the way. I was looking, always you look in the newspapers, I was seeing how many people are registering for Delhi University courses. BCom, 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 BCom. जो English के लिए कर रहे हैं, they're doing because they don't need the money. Their parents maybe are well off, so they don't need to apply for a course that will give them a quick job and the money. But who is studying history seriously? Who is studying English literature seriously, or Hindi literature for that matter? Let's not stick to English.
So how can religions liberate science and technology from being prisoners of either profit-minded large corporations or destruction-minded defense establishments?
That can't happen unless people are willing to go deeper. We can't force people to become intelligent, or we cannot force people that you must understand what I've understood. If I say, I love bananas, come and taste my bananas, they're really good, they'll be good for you. If they don't want to, they won't do it. If they're prejudiced, I only like apples and oranges. So, aap kya karenge? What will you do? You can't force a person to grow up. Also, they'll think, what are you telling me? Who are you to tell me what to do, how to think? But I feel very deeply that if people don't reflect and meditate and on deeper human values, then we are lost. And we can see, people at least can be shown that, look, does money alone make you happy? Can money buy you happiness? Can it buy you love? It can buy you pleasure. It can buy you sex, but can it buy you abiding love, happiness, long term? Check, ask people to check. If they're too lazy to check up, then what can you do? You can't force someone. But what this means is, Father, we have to start with education, children. If they can be educated well, as the Jesuits used to say, I think, give me a child till 7 and I have them for life. Matlab, where 7 saal tak I will brainwash them sufficiently that zindagi bhar they will be with me. But if that can be done in a good way, and by the way, I enjoy the company of my Jesuit friends because I find them highly educated and pretty open-minded. Actually, I have a lot of Jesuit friends in Bodh Gaya. So, and those are people we should get together and do our interfaith work with, by the way. So yeah, that's what we need. we cannot force people, but we can encourage young people to see the beauty of dialogue, the joy of contemplating and meditating and discussing together. If children learn how to dialogue and discuss, they'll really enjoy it, because it is an enjoyable thing. One is learning, one is going deeper, one is not shouting at each other, one is listening. So people will enjoy. Children are more open-minded than us. Yeah, they're not so conditioned yet. So if we have good teachers, good environment, open-minded teachers, then we can do so much with children, and then they can grow up. Then at least we will have some intelligent people who can be leaders in business, leaders in politics, leaders in religion, leaders in the scientific establishment. We need good people in all those areas. We cannot pretend it's just going to be a theocracy in the future. Only religious people will be in charge. That's no good. Everyone, if we have leaders from all those sectors, and that depends on good education, thinking people, kind-hearted, but also intelligent, don't you think? That's needed.
So what are the ways through which, as you have rightly mentioned, that science and religion can work together for the enlightenment of people?
Well, I think we've pretty much covered it,
Yeah.
but there has to be more meaningful dialogue. Just as interfaith is necessary, this science and religious people should also get together and have very serious, deep dialogue and expose each other's prejudices without feeling threatened and in a spirit of willing to learn. Because we will find, as religious people, I think we have prejudices that we need to get rid of, and scientists hopefully will find they have some prejudices, and they hopefully, some of them will realize you cannot explain everything through just a materialist way of life, understanding that everything comes down to whatever can be touched or seen or heard or tasted or smelt. There's more to life than that, which cannot be gauged by their instruments. So if they can be persuaded to also engage in reflection, meditation, then they might really will bring great benefit to scientific community. On the other hand, religious people can realize that blind faith is not enough, and that we can also learn from scientists, from the scientific method, which is about experimentation and not coming to any final conclusions too quickly, but being open to new insights. So if that is there, then I think we can learn a lot. But again, it requires patience. That's a very important thing, isn't it? Patience. All of the great, I've read Christian mystics and everyone, they speak about the need for great patience and intelligence, and of course love, loving kindness, wanting the other person to be happy, giving up the selfish mind. So all these things are, I think, necessary.
So one final question. As a non-Buddhist follower or practitioner, if I want to approach or learn about Buddha or Lord Buddha, what are the things that I should keep in mind while approaching and understanding the life and teachings of Lord Buddha?
Good. Well, you can read a little bit about Buddha's life. And one of the most important things for me that he said early on is, do not accept what I'm saying just because I'm saying it. You have to test it like a goldsmith tests gold, by burning, cutting, rubbing. So if you give some piece of metal to a goldsmith and say, this is gold, give me money, if he's a good fellow, he'll check. He won't accept. They cut, they burn, they rub. They have tests to tell, is this really gold or is it naqli? Is it a fake? So similarly, Buddha says to us, you check through your intelligence, through your wisdom. You have wisdom, you use it, and critical thinking you have. Then after a while, of course, we develop more and more faith and trust in Lord Buddha, and we accept a lot of the things he says, even though right now we cannot prove them. For example, teachings on karma. That's something we are experiencing now. It might have its cause many lifetimes ago. So I can't see that. But I accept that what Buddha says is most likely true, because he has said so many other things, which I have tested and I found them to be wise and true. So like that, we have to have that attitude towards Buddhism. And we can learn a lot just from reading his life, about his life, his renunciation of the family life, his spiritual search, and then teaching, how he taught, whom he taught. He taught everybody who was willing to listen. No prejudice there, of course, just like Christ. And that's what will help us initially. And then if we get interested, we can do more reflection and some meditation and come to Tushita or any of our other centers in India. And also we can have more dialogue. That is very important. And proper interfaith dialogue, as I mentioned, including the meditation.
Thank you so much
thank you
for your patience and, and your time that you have given us.
I thoroughly enjoyed,
yes.
And your questions have been most deep and searching, and so I really appreciate that, and thank you for that. I hope we can meet again.
Yes.
So, Father Shinu Thomas, I really deeply feel appreciation because I really loved Metropolitan Mar Gregorios ji. I thought he was an exemplar. He's the sort of person we need in all the religions. So the fact you are creating this scope for people from different walks of life to appreciate his life and understand from it, and conducting these interviews and so forth, I deeply admire and appreciate that, and wish you all success with this. Thank you very much indeed.